Is Sophia Tiwa. Would you stand, Sophia? Sophia is a historian and a historical fact checker who worked with me for 9 months. Thank you to both of you.
Okay, so we are open to any questions, comments, thoughts, anything. Yes.
This is a simple question. It wasn't clear, like, was it happening in Germany? Was it happening, where was it happening?
It happens in Anne's imagination. It says in the beginning, Anne in her study imagines Anna in 1880, 100 years ago. She's trying to figure out the story. So what happens in Vienna happens in Vienna, and what happens in New York City happens in New York City.
I got that. It just wasn't clear that it would happen in Vienna.
It's Vienna.
Vienna, not Germany.
Okay, thank you we will have to look at that for clarification, but thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
So it's just a wonderful performance. I enjoyed it so much. You're supposed to wonder, you're getting us to wonder if anything happened with the fake pregnancy, but of course, we're all guessing. Maybe somebody died to get rid of the baby, right?
Well, that's the thing about this whole case. It is just loaded with insinuation and rumors, and when you do the research, you're buried in it. And so nobody knows, because the only people who knew are not here, and they weren't telling. Wow. And so what I tried to do was harness that for an audience so that the questions you might leave with might be enlightening in some ways or emotional for you, because it's our assumptions about sexuality and our assumptions about, oh, what happened? Oh, the salaciousness of it, it's just infectious. But the truth is, much of it is objectification of women, frankly. And was she a penis-envying lunatic? Who was this creature? You know, all of that language. So we don't know what happened. And that's kind of the point. But everybody's got opinions. Yes?
We're passing a mic around.
Probably you can hear me. The cellar analogy, I had a hard time with that. Not when Ann Jackowitz says that when she was a child she would go to the cellar. But the thing about if she leaves the cellar now, but then I'm leaving you behind there, I didn't really
That was
get
confusing?
that. I mean, the meaning I put on it was if she came out and left the cellar of being in the closet as a lesbian, then she'd be leaving Bertha there, who might be a lesbian. But otherwise, I don't know.
Well, it's for your interpretation. We are in a 29-hour reading, so there are technical things that you're not going to be able to see that define that space very much differently, so that it is, although Susan did a brilliant job, by the way. I mean, really, miracle working. But there are so many elements. There's music all the way through this whole piece. There are projections of art that evoke the period all the way through this piece, none of which we could show you today. So that is not an excuse if that is unclear, but it is also a quote of Anne's. Anne wrote about that cellar in Between Women. So that comes from that as well. So it was kind of I wanted to honor Anne in as many ways as I could all the way through this. But her cellar is her personal hell. Just like Anna created this private theater to vanquish her demons, so for Anne, it was her cellar. So it's a parallel.
Thank you. Brilliant.
I'm curious to hear, I see your hand, how you felt about the doubling of the actor Jay and Breuer. We love it. Okay, and Anne playing Freud. Yeah.
It's very interesting because there was some discomfort with that.
I was going to tell that story. Apparently, someone who read play early on said, "What, Anne playing Freud? That's terrible. I can't do it." And she said, "Not negotiable." And I think she's absolutely right. So I'm glad you seem to agree.
How can you do a feminist piece about Sigmund Freud and not have a woman taken back?
Absolutely.
Not happening.
There was yes, Bennett, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things. What was I going to say? first off, I'd love to see Bertha help Ann sooner in the mixing of the old story and the new story, and have that crossover sooner and more. And as she's working her way out of her, and is working her way out of her cellar, that somehow that crosses over earlier somehow. Because my thought was, and I love the parts more. I like the parts around where Ann is changing the story, and then we watch them redo it, and that was. And I'd love to see more of that, like, as she's working it out.
You can think, I actually, a dramaturge that I was briefly working with before I found the best one on the planet, suggested that I incorporate, my background is political theater, and there's a lot of that in that modality, so she suggested I do it, and I did it once. And Susan said, Cheryl, you can't do that once.
Yeah.
The audience is now in on the architecture of this. They're in the story with you. You've got to do it multiple times, so we did it 3 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and just a final thing, I'll
That's
shut
good.
up, is
Are you saying that you felt it was too long before that happened? Is that part of what you mean?
no, just that to me it would be like, because we started going into it knowing that Ann is writing the story about Anna O. And so we're watching it happen while she writes it, and we're going back and forth, in and out, and this is gonna be crazy, but maybe think of, I've never seen this movie, but I get the idea. Julie and Julia, so she's doing the cookbook as we see Julie write the cookbook, and then oddly enough, I thought of being John Malkovich. Somehow, like, so we're in her head while it's all happening, and that being more the structure of the whole thing. So I like those parts of it where, like, okay, here's me, Ann Jackowitz, thinking about what I think this means and how I think that might have gone down. And so we're back and forth, and more obviously back and forth about that. So we're in Ann's head to Ann Jackowitz's head as well.
Thank you.
Someone else.
The mic is coming.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do.
I just can't walk away without commending the actors.
Oh, yeah.
Where are the actors?
Yes.
They're out there. If you're fighting, would you come out, actors, to get some more applause? I'm not sure if they're still, I'm not sure if they snuck out, but.
And we have Judy Henderson here today, and we need to thank her.
Our casting director, who did a
Wonderful
fantastic job. I don't know where they are. Oh, come on out, come on out. What? Come on out. Oh, Lisa had to leave to shoot a movie, that's right, yes, okay. It's as I said before, but now you believe me, what you can do with talented actors in 25 hours, it's unbelievable.
1 week.
Not a full week, imagine 200 hours. That's what, here's Ben. Wore the wrong shirt today. Anyway, someone else? Question? Comment? Yes, Barbara.
Oh, she wants the mic. It's coming.
Thank you. I'm incredibly moved. Cheryl, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my